Hi there, welcome back to Corrie Papercrafts. I'm Karen and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in central Scotland. Today I want to show you how I made this little envelope, which is just big enough to hold a mini notebook, A6 sized. So inside this one we have a little matching notebook like this, and I decided to make these to use up some of my 2018 to 20 in colours because they'll be retiring at the end of May, beginning of June this year. For those who don't know, Stampin' Up have in colours which come in for and run for 2 years, but they overlap, so we get a new set of in colours every year. So for 1 year 2 sets will overlap. So just to let you see, in the annual catalogue the 2018 to 20 in colours are here. So I made this little envelope in Pineapple Punch. I actually also made one in Call Me Clover as well, and it has a matching notebook, almost. It's green anyway inside, but today we're going to use Lovely Lipstick. And up here you'll see that these are our 2019 to 21 in colours, so they'll run right through until next year. But this summer, when the new annual catalogue comes out, we'll get a new set of 2020 to 22 in colours. So that just explains a little bit about our in colours. So as I say, today's version of this rather is going to be in Lovely Lipstick, which is a really pretty colour. So you'll need a piece of cardstock which measures 8 1/4 inches by 7 1/4, and you'll need 2 pieces of designer series paper, one which measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/8, and a smaller piece which measures 3 3/4 by 1 1/4. You'll also need a piece of scrap Whisper White and a scrap piece of Lovely Lipstick, which we'll use later on for doing our little sentiment here. So to start with, I should really tell you which designer series paper I used to put on the front of here, and I used the Best Dressed 6x6 DSP. Lots of florals, but lovely designs. That's on one side, a few handbags there as well, but on the other we've got makeup and perfume and shoes and stripes and dots and things. So lots of lovely pieces of paper in there, but I chose a piece that's got quite a lot of Lovely Lipstick in it to match my cardstock. So let's get on and do some scoring. I apologise for my dodgy voice today. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so I've got my Turkish apple tea here to keep me going throughout the video. I've got a couple of videos to do, but it's still too hot to drink without slurping, which I don't think you would really appreciate on the video. I'm just going to stand up for 2 seconds because I want to just get rid of that glare. You can't see the bottom of the card on the scoreboard, but it's the top part really that's more important. So for the scoring for this, on the long side, the 8 1/4 side, you want to score it at 3 7/8 and 7 3/4, and then you want to rotate it clockwise and score at 1/2 inch, 5 3/4 and 5 7/8. Now the only lines that we're going to score on are these ones, and the 5 3/4 score we're going to ignore the 5 7/8 for now, and I'll show you how that comes into play later. So that's all our scoring done. So I'm just going to fold and burnish on most of these score lines, but as I say, missing out that 5 7/8 for now. These narrow parts, I actually find that it's easier to score it, or to fold it rather, that way than try and manipulate the little edge, but everybody's different. So for this 5 3/4 line, to be able to get the right line to fold and burnish, again I just sit it that way and fold it until it bends on the 5 3/4 line, then burnish. Give it another burnish on this side, and again I'm just going to completely ignore that other one. So this is the top of the envelope and this is the bottom, so you've got narrow strips along here and you've got a wider strip along here. So I'll get my pencil just to show you all the parts that we're going to remove. So we're going to remove this part and this little part here in between the two score lines. So when we cut that off, we're going to come right down to this folded score line. We're going to get rid of this, and again that little part in there. We're going to keep all of this. We're going to remove this square in the bottom corner. We're going to keep that part and we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so if I bring in my snips, I'm going to remove this corner first, but I'm just going to angle it on both sides because I want that angled when I'm going to be using it, because this part here is the section which holds our envelope together. And then I'm just going to snip that little triangle off and bring in my bigger scissors excuse me, and just cut straight along here, but removing the score line as I go. Didn't do that hugely well, but I'll see if I can rectify that. If not, I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to cut down to that score line here, removing that part completely but taking the score line away as well. I think that'll be okay. Actually, I'm not going to mess around with that. And then I'm just going to miter this part here and remove this entire flap here as well. If that's not completely straight, it doesn't matter, because this flap's going to come up and over the bottom of it anyway and it's going to be hidden, so don't worry too much about it. Get rid of these parts. So this is what you're left with once you've done all your cutting. So before I do anything else, I'm going to round the corners on here. So I'm going to bring in my detailed trio punch and I'm going to round that corner. Sorry, I probably suggled the camera there, and that corner. And while I'm at it, I'm going to round the corners on the piece that will be going on to that flap, the DSP that's going on to that flap as well. So that's all my corners rounded, so I can get rid of my punch. And before I do anything else, and before I forget, I'm just going to make a mark in the middle of my flap, which will come down to close the envelope like this, and all will become clear just very shortly. So I want to just make a pencil mark at some point above those score lines where I can see it easily, and halfway is 1 7/8, so I'm just going to make a little pencil mark at 1 7/8, and we'll come back to that in a wee while. So I'm going to add my designer series paper, and I'm going to use snail. If I'm giving these away as gifts, I tend to use my wet glue, but just in the interests of being a bit quicker, and my snail's decided to run out. I thought it might run out at some point, so let's just change that just now very quickly. Get a new refill out of my box and pop it in. There we are. Oops. Oops. Oh, I put putting it in the right way? No, I'm not. I don't think I am anyway. Yes, I was. Was I? Yes, I was. Why is it not happy to go in? There we are. It's me. It's not the snail. So let's try that again. That's a bit better. So just lining this up to make sure it's in the middle, and I've got equal spacing on either side. That looks about right. It's maybe a little bit far over, but it will do. And then I'm going to do the same with the DSP for the front flap as well. And again, I just want to make sure that it's equal all the way around. That looks about right there. Not entirely straight here, so let me lift it and rearrange it a little bit. Yep, that's better. Could still be a little bit further over, but that's okay. And then I'm going to add some tearing tape to this flap and this flap. Now this flap's going to fold in like that, and this is going to fold over to join it, so I need to put my tearing tape on this side of it. This is take 2 of this video because this is where I put my tape on the wrong side. So piece of tearing tape there, but because this is folding up over there, I want to put my tearing tape on what would be the inside, if you like, of this flap here. So success, I've actually managed to put the tape in the right place this time. And I'm just going to take off this little furry corner here. If you're careful with your snips, you can take off all your little furry corners. And then before I do anything else, I'm going to bring my detailed trio punch back in, and the hole where my ribbon fastens through is made by this part here on the detailed trio punch. So that's why I've put a pencil mark there, because what I want to do to make sure that the hole is central, I want to line my pencil mark up with this groove here on the end of the punch. Now this is where it becomes a bit tricky, because I can't get my head right over this because of the camera. So if I point it towards myself and then line it up and put it down again, which hasn't really worked. Let me just have a quick look here. I think I'm going to have to just keep this off camera. I'm not sure. I think I've put my pencil mark too far down as well. So if I could squeeze it long enough to be able to sit it back down, how to make it look really difficult, but because the camera's right here, is that not, that's it. Oh, I made that look harder than it actually is. Because the camera is directly above it, I can't get my head directly above it to see where it is. So it was a bit more tricky because you're punching through a piece of card and a piece of paper. And once that's done, come back in and rub out your pencil mark and nobody will see it, but now you've got your hole for your ribbon to come through. So I can now put my pouch together, so I'm just going to give these folds another quick burnish and stick it all together. To just bring that over, and it should fit perfectly. And then the same again for this. Now this needs a little bit more persuading, this little flap on the bottom, because it's actually coming up and over another piece of card. So it does go, but it needs a little bit of gentle persuasion. There we go. And then that's your pouch made. So inside this notebook I'm going to put a pink, or inside the envelope rather, going to put a little pink notebook, so there we are, and that's where your 5 7/8 score line comes into play, because I didn't want to score it and make it a hard fold. I just wanted it to be able to gently fold over, and that saves that bit of bulk, it covers the bit of bulk, because that's not flat, and it's about 1/8 of an inch, just slightly less, so that's why we have that score line there. So I'm going to use the 1/8 of an inch grosgrain ribbon in Lovely Lipstick to join my pouch together. So first I want to put a bit of ribbon up from behind and through the hole, so put it underneath. I'll do that again because I probably did that a bit quickly. Underneath and up through the hole here, and then to hold it together just till while I knock everything else off my desk, I'm just going to put a couple of clips either side to hold this flap down, which helps immensely. And I'm just going to bring this ribbon down the front and up behind, and that's probably a bit long, so I'll pull that back a little bit, and just cut this slightly longer than the tail I've got already. And what I want to do is just bring that over, because I want to tie the knot just above the punched hole like that. Now, because your ribbon comes up and through that punched hole, and because it's pulling to hold that knot tight, if that makes sense, that means that this flap won't lie completely flat just because of the design of it, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be completely flat at all. So now she will attempt to tie a bow on camera and hopefully manage it first time, which I think she's going to. Yes indeed, there we are. I'm quite happy with that. I'm not too worried. It's a bit cute, I think, having the bow at a slight angle, so I'm quite happy with it like that. Just turn it around a little bit, and then I'm just going to trim the tails so they're not too long, and I'll just let that one go in that direction because that's where it wants to go. So trim it about there, get rid of those bits, and that's my pouch made. And then all we need to do is a little bit of stamping to do our little label for the front. So for the label I'm going to stamp using Memento ink, and I'm using the Delightful Day stamp set, and I'm just using the Just a Little Something for You from here, which I've already got mounted on a block anyway. Here it is here. And the Delightful Day stamp set is one I had completely overlooked in the annual catalogue, so you'll find that on page 34 of the annual catalogue. Here it is here. I've never noticed it before, but it goes very, very nicely with the new, where are they? Stitch So Sweetly dies, which I have absolutely fallen in love with, and you'll find these on page 20 of the new Spring Summer mini catalogue. Here they are here. Nesting dies, beautiful stitched scalloped rectangles, and 4 lovely nesting label dies as well. They're absolutely gorgeous, and these pair up beautifully with the So Sentimental stamps, which I can show you here as well. There we are. That's them all. I've actually for once put all my stickers on the back of my stamps. So this is another beautiful stamp set, which I think I'll show you a project with at a later date, but that's the stamp set and the dies that we're going to use for just now. So I'll put the box over to the side, and for my white sentiment I'm going to use the second rectangle, and for the coloured mount I'm going to use the third size. So if we stamp it first, then we'll do a bit of die cutting as well, and hopefully I won't shake the table too much. Oops. Oh, I have twisted my ribbon. I'll sort that after. I wondered why it wasn't moving over the table very well, but I'll sort that after. So just make sure I ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it onto my Whisper White card. I have used the Whisper White thick card just because I think it withstands use a little bit more, but ordinary Whisper White would be fine. And I'm now going to grab my Big Shot, so I'll move everything out of the way and bring over my Big Shot, and I think that should be in shot just, yep. So I've got on here, if you've not done any die cutting before, I've got my magnetic platform, which is a godsend with the dies, although they can sometimes jump around. I've got a cutting plate here, and then I'm going to put my sentiment on there. Now, rectangle and square dies don't always like going straight through a die cutter, so it's always well advised to pop them just at a bit of an angle, and they seem to go through a bit happier, and hopefully that will not move when I put my cutting plate on the top. Nope, that's fine. So I'll try not to wheak this through too quickly and shake the camera too much, because my tripod for my camera is actually also on my desk. So that should have cut that out, and it has. There you go, really pretty. So I'll pop that die to the side, and then I'll bring in my scrap of lovely lipstick, and I'm not so worried about whether or not the magnets move that, which they are doing as you just saw, because it's only cutting out a piece of card. But in the interests of being economical, I'm going to keep it as close to the edge as I can, because then that leaves me quite a big bit of card that I can still use for something else, if not another sentiment like this. So again, just carefully pop it through the Big Shot. I love my Big Shot actually. I use it all the time. I've got lots of different die cutting machines, but I will never use my Big Shot now. Stampin' Up used to sell them. They were black in colour, for those of you that remember them, and it was made by Sizzix, but they've stopped selling it, and we're hoping to have a new Stampin' Up die cutting machine in the very near future, so I'm excited to see what that will be like. And I'm just going to take my rubber, maybe my eraser remover would be better. There are just a few little hairy bits left from when it went through the die, so I'm just trying to make sure that I've taken all of those off. I think I have. Nope, I can see another little extra bit there. There we are, straight onto the floor. I only hoovered today as well. That's another little bit there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. That's it. So I'm going to mount this onto the colour background using a little bit of liquid glue, but then I'm going to mount the rest, or mount the finished thing using dimensionals, because it's going to go over the ribbon, and I want the ribbon still to be able to move freely and still be put on and off if need be. So I'm just making sure that's in the middle. There we are. Lovely. That's pretty. I like that. I'm just absolutely in love with these dies. I've made a few things recently, and I've sent some gifts to friends and some of the ladies who follow my Facebook page as random acts of kindness, and I used these labels to put on those gifts as well. So if you don't know about my Facebook page, you'll find me on Facebook as Corrie Papercrafts, and if you've not visited my blog before, the details will be under this video anyway, but it's corriepapercrafts.blogspot.co.uk if you want to visit my blog. And you know about me on YouTube if you're watching this video, obviously. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals in the corners, and that's going to sit over the ribbon like that. Now I've put the dimensionals fairly close to the bottom, but I don't want them too close to the top because I don't want them to be showing. If somebody lifts it like that, I don't want the first thing they see is to be a bit of dimensional sticking up there, so that's the only reason that I've put those top ones a little bit further down. So taking the backings off, and then about 3/4 of an inch or so from the bottom of my envelope, I'm just going to pop my sentiment on, and I think that's straight and in the middle, I think. So all that's left to do is add a little bit of bling, of course, and something else that I'm in love with and addicted to, as well as the dies, are these gorgeous champagne rhinestones. I'm just about onto my second packet, and I'm going to order some more, so I'm just going to pop 1, 2, oops, oh come on, do you not want to go, and 3 just in the top, oops, straight of course Karen, that would help, in the top corner there, and that's my pouch made. Easy to make, doesn't use a lot of cardstock and doesn't use a lot of paper, but it's quite effective, I think, and I'm really liking them in the colours. So if I can find notebooks to match colour wise, and I think I maybe do, I'm going to do a Grapefruit Grove pouch, and I think, although Blueberry Bushel is much darker blue than that, and I think I've got the ribbon that I can let you see. Yep, here we go. It's still blue and orange, so I think I'll go ahead and make another couple so that I've got a matching set. So that's my pouches. I hope you've survived to the end of the video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe, and a like is always nice as well, and even a share maybe. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel, so I would love it if I got some more subscribers, and you could help by clicking on subscribe, and if you click the little bell beside that, you'll get notified of any other videos that I post when I post them. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you're interested in any of the products that you've seen today, then if you visit my blog, corriepapercrafts.blogspot.co.uk, and click on the Shop Now tab at the top, that will take you directly to my shop to either browse the products or to buy any of the things that you've seen today. And also, if you don't already have a demonstrator and you would like a catalogue, then by all means get in touch and I'll be more than happy to send you one out free of charge. So until the next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.